Yay, right on.
Right on. Hey,
Mahalo for
Tracy.
being here, Ian. I am so
Yes.
excited to have you talk with our cohort. You know that you are one of my favorite people and continue to inspire my
Thank
leadership.
you.
So I'm so
Thank you.
grateful. Mahalo for being
Oh,
here.
no, what an honor. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to spark our conversation, I'd love to start if you could start by telling us a bit about your journey, who you are, what led you
Mm,
into tech and leadership, and then really how those roles have helped shape the person and leader that you are today.
okay. Um, so I grew up in Kaneohe. I'm from the Kaneohe side, so I went to public schools there, Castle High School. I
Yeah.
was a very bad student. Um, I spent more time probably trying to figure out how the waves were on the east side, and then would go surfing with my friends. And so I had a very big class. My high school was very, Castle High had a really huge class. And then when I graduated, I knew that even though I didn't study at all, that education was really important. But because I had slacked off so much, I really ended up at Windward Community College, which was actually perfect for me. And there, I really started my kind of love of learning and went on to Manoa, University of Hawaii. So I went public school all the way.
Right on.
um, my education is actually in business, not in technology. And I was really fortunate to have met partners and I've started many businesses and I've always had partners. And I always feel like, two heads are better than one. And was very fortunate to do these things. Had run away from Hawaii at least 3 times. So I think I had an itch to get away, partly because I wanted to see how good I was or wasn't. you know, Hawaii was was always my home, but I felt like I really need to go away. So I lived in Los Angeles twice. Um, and these were all businesses that I was part of and really started. Those businesses eventually became technology businesses, and I was fortunate to be that generation that started on typewriters in college but eventually moved to personal computers. So in my life I've been very, very fortunate to see the impact technology had on people and processes and organizations. Remember, literally going from a typewriter to a computer was like 100 times improvement in productivity, I felt, right? So if anybody has ever had to write a paper on a typewriter, that is like an experience. Okay. So
I
being able to
remember
do,
getting my first word processor and thinking it was the ultimate in
right.
technology.
Really, yeah, it was just like a game changer. And that was also during the time desktop publishing came out, because Apple came out with the Macintosh and the laser printer. Okay, so these were like, what? Like you could actually, do amazing things. And and I was really fortunate, because if you think, ever since then, right, the internet came around in 95, local area networks, you talk about the dot-com boom and bust. I would live through all of that. I actually was part of a startup in Finland. I actually was part of a startup there that I helped to run in Helsinki, Finland. So I've tried to run away from Hawaii, and I think part of it was, I think I wanted to know, like, what how good people were, and was I any good? Was I was I good enough? I think. And having gone all the way to the other side of the world and worked there with at the time, this was the time I was in Helsinki, was the heyday of mobile phones. So Nokia, people think it's a Japanese company. Nokia is a Finnish company. And I was part of a startup that actually we did virtual communities on your mobile phone 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
What was that?
we're doing really innovative stuff on your cell phone. And at the time, Helsinki and Japan were the leaders in the mobile phone revolution. So what I'm saying is, I got to work with the best of the best at the peak of the mobile phone revolution, where Helsinki and Japan were the leaders. And I was also working with these people there. I realized that if this is the best of the best, I've had friends back home in Hawaii that are just as good as these folks. And that's kind of the turning point where I said, you know what? I don't need to keep running away from Hawaii. That if I'm going to do something, I should probably go back. And so that's when I came back in around 2000, and I actually joined Oceanet. And prior to that, I'd never been in any business other than my own for more than 5 years. I ran a warehouse management company. We basically, you know, automated warehouses for duty-free shoppers for the biggest retailers in the world, and we had a company that did that. But again, coming home to Hawaii was pretty transformative, and I was at Oceanet for almost 22 years. So that speaks, I think, highly of Oceanet and the kind of environment and culture that we were able to build during that time. So I was there for more than half of its life. And so I retired about 3 years ago and have gone on to more craziness ever since then. And so to me, it's interesting because I was not, if you told people like I would be where I am today, they would go, he's going to probably be something much different. And so I guess the message to all of the leaders there too, right? It's I think part of my success in a way has been having such good mentors and friends who have helped me along the way. Yeah, it's different, now as I'm older. Anyway, that's a
Connections
long.
become more and more important, don't they?
Yes, relationships. Yeah, relationships are
Yeah.
very important. Yeah, and you never know, people that you just go, oh my God, you're running the shipyard, or something, like they're probably saying the same thing. Ian, you're doing what? Like, I never, do they know who's doing that work? Anyway,
Right. Well, if I
yeah.
think about it, you and I met in Hilo decades ago when you were coaching me on this new crazy thing I never heard of called design thinking. And then here we are, right?
Here we are. Yeah. 15 years later, man.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I want to dive into all kinds of questions.
Yep.
But first, will you tell us a little bit more about the work that you're doing through PICHTR?
Yeah. So when I left, when I retired from Ocean at the end of 2022, I actually was, because I have a nonprofit of my own called Design Thinking Hawaii. And so I was already starting that up, restarting it. And again, it's like I felt like this is like doing a startup all over again. It's like, it's dead stop. It's going to take so much energy to get it moving. And as I was starting that nonprofit, Dennis Taranishi from PICHTR, we had been talking because Dennis kind of got wind that I was thinking about retiring from Oceanet. So he and I were talking for a bit, and I felt like there's a lot of synergy there. And I had been associated with PICHTR when I was in industry, because PICHTR ran the country's first dual-use incubator in the whole United States 20 years ago. And I was helping the industry side. So with PICHTR and myself, we actually formed an industry group, and I was helping to run the industry group side. And so I thought about it like, oh, I wonder, and much of what I did in design thinking, which was all the human-centered design, technology, all of that for students and teachers, PICHTR was doing that for adults. So PICHTR was the adult version of the thing I was doing in education. Right? And they were doing it primarily with support from Japanese government and Japanese companies, very big Japanese companies. And I had a career in the toy business at one point, and did a lot of work in Japan. So my biggest client was the biggest toy company in Japan. So I was like, oh, this is a way for me to get back into the Japanese market. So I felt like there was a lot of synergies there. And so so today, kind of fast forward after 3 years, so PICHTR runs a dual-use incubation program for the Japanese government. So we actually bring their best technology companies and help them enter the US government market. Okay, so we take their best technology companies And some of them are just mind-blowing, former kimono maker now making advanced materials, or cardboard drones, or diamond semiconductors. Like these companies are just amazing. And actually my 20 plus years at Ocean made me totally understand oh, the stuff they're doing, right? And so we started an incubation program. We've been doing it for the Japanese government. So we actually just won the third year. It's not been formally announced to the public, but we just got word that we will be running the third cohort for the Japanese government. And this coming year, we'll bring 20 of their best technology companies to Hawaii.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And then 2 companies from our first cohort that manufacture drones and advanced materials will be actually setting up operations in Hawaii as well. So we will help several of our alumni companies set up operations in Hawaii. And then the last part about PICHTR is PICHTR has always been an incubator of incubators. So people don't realize that Elemental Impact down Lippard and that incubator, it actually started at PICHTR.
Oh, I had no idea.
It was started at PICHTR, and then later on we spun it out to be its own separate nonprofit. But we are right now, in fact, in the middle of selecting our first cohort for a Hawaii program. So what we did for the Japanese was kind of weird because we're doing it in Hawaii, and I was going, we really need Hawaii companies in a program like this. So we actually have started a separate program called Hawaii Wave. And it's an incubation program for Hawaii companies that are doing civilian technologies or civilian services, but they want to enter the government sector. And so, yeah, so PICHTR, we're doing a bunch of stuff. And of course, we're doing tons and tons of workshops around artificial intelligence for nonprofits, primarily for corporate for-profits. We're getting them all exposed to how AI is transforming everything. All right, so
it is. I was lucky enough to be talking with someone about AI and thinking of you, and we were talking about how this is really the 5th industrial revolution.
Yep.
And we're going from being scared and pessimistic to, oh my goodness, we're behind the curve. Yep. Right?
Absolutely.
How do we catch up?
Yep.
Which leads me to, in your opinion, as we think about what leadership mindsets are really essential to adopt AI successfully, not just as a tool, but really as a strategic advantage. What might those leadership mindsets be that we need to have as we approach this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think at some level, what's really amazing about AI is, in the old days, and again, when I was at Oceanet 8 years ago, I stood up an applied AI team at Oceanet 7 years ago. So we were already looking at what was the latest technologies in AI and actually applying it to real problems. Okay, but back then you would need really powerful, expensive computers to do this stuff, right? Today, I can take my $200 student laptops that we use for training, and you can access the most powerful systems in the world and have like a PhD level person at your fingertips, even with your phone, right? So the point is, everybody, once they get educated about this stuff and become more proficient at it, everybody will have the same advantages. Okay, that advantages are currently with those who are adopting this quickly, learning about it. And then the hardest part is figuring out, okay, how do I actually, this is amazing, but where do I apply this stuff, right? And so I want to say the technology thing is like, everybody will have access to this technology. So that, in a way, is not necessarily an advantage anymore, right? If everybody has AI and access to all these tools, what then is the advantage? And I want to, and I think in the age of AI, and this is being proven more and more, is the more we get into technology, the more the human element is the most important element.
Totally.
Right? It is actually, the people piece is still, and actually what's interesting is those people who have the most experience, when combined with AI proficiency, are superhuman. And it's proving out. I've been doing all these different workshops, and I've seen it where we do this one workshop. It's called vibe coding, and it's a slang for like being able to build applications. Okay, so imagine now, and again, we run these workshops, and I've had my friends from the unions now. So I'm doing a lot of AI workshops for the unions. So I have my union friends come. They got decades of experience. They're subject matter experts. They actually know the problem, but they have an idea of what the solution is. But they could never build these apps themselves, these platforms themselves. But now, when we teach it, we do this one-day workshop, right? At the end of the day, everybody shows off what they built, and it's proving out like, oh my God, their knowledge and their decades of knowledge experience combined now with the ability to build something was like, holy moly, you built that in a day, right? It's super mind-blowing. And I think what's going to happen is, I predict there's going to be this new category of workers. And one of them is, I'm calling it visioneers. They're the visionaries who are now have the engineering chops because of vibe coding and AI to actually build some actual solutions that, again, maybe these are just the initial prototypes that, again, a technical team can take over. But again, when the visionary is the same person as the builder, that ability to build something very quickly and even better, it is actually in the hands of people who learn how to use AI, right? And so I don't know. So there's just
superhumanness too.
Yeah, so I think people are worried about, well, if I don't have, I have all this experience and AI is going to replace it. I told them, no. That's totally wrong. That's not going to happen if you learn these tools, but right. And actually, I think on the flip side, what I'm noticing, because I've interviewed a bunch of young people who are graduating or are in their first few years of their career, and they're all computer science kids, right? They can't get jobs and they're getting fired. And I think part of it is because even though they know how to use AI, they don't have experience. See, you cannot make up for the lack of experience, right? You have to, and that's why for young people, I was just talking to a young lady, and I said what drove my career, my early days of, and I guess it's always been driving my career, is I always go to the place where I can learn the most, not where I can make the most money. That's a trap. If you go to the places where you're going to make the most money, unfortunately, you're going to probably learn the least at some level. I think you go to the place where they're going to, especially this is what happens in small companies, is like you're going to do 4 different jobs that you would never get to do until you're much older, right? But that's the trick, is you got to get these as much experience as quickly as possible across as many disciplines as possible when you're young, but never stop that learning process, right? And so that's why even today, as old as I am now, like I just love all the stuff that's happening. I wish I was, I was telling this young guy, he's in the first third of his life. I told him, I'm in my last third of my life. I wish I was in your shoes, because this has
My
never
grandma
been.
said you're not allowed to be old until you're 85. So you're still
Okay,
young.
okay,
You're in
okay.
your second childhood.
Okay, I'm gonna remember that.
Gonna
But
help you change that mindset.
yes. But I think if you
I
keep
love
learning,
it.
yeah, you stay young,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
keep learning, you keep stay
Yeah.
young, and but yeah, that's where, at least for the young, like the young folks who are watching here, man, I mean, that's, to me, I that's what I thought about when I was out of school. Like, I'm gonna go join a big company, but then I decided, I'm gonna start my own company, because that's never been a better way for me to learn business and how to do stuff, because I would have to do it, everything. And I had a partner who was technical, and yeah, it's always been like that. I've been very fortunate to have had the path I was on, and very supportive parents. My parents have all passed, but I'm sure they're laughing right now. They're going, man, he's in school and helping people in school and education, but we can never get him to school. He was always running away from school, right? So
Too funny.
it's
I'm
fun.
taking mad notes because I always get excited when we talk, but I love that, having the vision. I love that need to be a continuous learner.
Yep. Continuous
And then that
learning.
experience human judgment, and then knowing how to really leverage AI to be your advantage. Because you're right. So many of us use it, but do we truly leverage it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love our cohort because we have a lot of people who are in their first and second childhood as well, not 85. We've got a good diverse blend of people. And I appreciate you talking about the experience, because I think sometimes with AI, I get told that's for the younger generations. And I think that's a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah. But, you know, at the same time, for the young folks, you know, if you think about, for everybody, right? When you think about today's biggest technology companies like Meta and X, any of these big tech companies, and even like Microsoft, right? They were started by young people. Okay. Especially the internet companies, they were started by young people. And my theory is, is when you're younger, right? You don't know what's not possible. Right, you do the impossible because you don't know it's impossible. If you have 30 years of experience, you're going to talk yourself out of doing the impossible. You know too much. But when you're 20 something years old, or even 30 something, you don't know that much, and so you just go and do something, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, that really is different, right? But the hard part is that, so this is the interesting, when you're young, you don't know what's not possible, so you actually are able to do it. When you're older, your strength is all that experience, but that experience is also your weakness, because you know too much about why it cannot work or why it couldn't work, or you talk yourself out of it, right, if you're not careful. And so actually one of the most important skills, I think, for leaders, especially innovators, people who are going to try and create something that has never been seen before or existed before, is this really powerful skill called suspending reality.
Ooh. Tell me more.
If you want to, I think if you want to create new stuff, like truly new things, right? Not just like, you need to be able to suspend reality, because most times if you start with reality, here's the reality, is you don't have the time, you don't have the money, you don't have the people. How am I going to start this new business? How am I going to start this new division? Like, where's these resources coming from? If you bring in the reality too soon, you won't do anything, because you know too much. So my experience of true innovators has been, and visionaries, is they have this unique quality to be able to just suspend reality. They will put reality off to the side. They'll bring it back. Don't worry, reality will come and hit you in the face, right? So they're really good at, like, let me suspend that for a bit, and then they dream about what the world could be and what people want in the world and what's not happening. This was the I think the gift of like a Steve Jobs, right? Where they imagined a world, you know, that didn't exist yet, or an Elon Musk. You know, it's kind of like these guys that are like crazy. What they're talking about is crazy. And I think that's part of a part of them, that they have this ability to kind of just suspend all the realities, that they don't have all the people, because that's the first thing people will tell me. Ian, you want me to do what? And it's like, okay, so where's the money, people, and all that coming from? I go, I don't know, but if that's that important to the world,
yeah,
and it's going to make that important in a difference, we'll figure out how to do it. But we'll never do that if we can't suspend reality.
I love that. That's going to be my new my new self-reflection. Have I suspended reality, or am I getting in my own way?
Yeah. I mean, you'll bring back the reality. Don't
Oh,
worry.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the easy
Whether
part.
you want to or not.
Yeah, that's the easy part, right? Because I can tell you probably 100 reasons why something can't work, but all you need is the handful of reasons why it's that important to do, in spite of the 100 reasons why it can't be done.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so my whole career has been about doing stuff that did not exist at some level, or something that's really hard. And that's the part too. It's like, if you get a choice between doing the hard thing and the easy thing, I always tell people, yeah, especially young people, take the hard thing. You're gonna learn so much more from doing the hard thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. I have a double side of the coin question.
Okay.
And I'll ask both. as leaders, one of my questions is going to be, how can I leverage this for myself? And the other is going to be about for the greater team. So as we look at AI reshaping and really taking advantage of it, leveraging it, how do you say AI reshaping executive decision making for those that truly leverage it in the next few years? And that's for self as leader. And then my other side of the coin is, how do you build a culture that's open to visioneering, innovating, experimentation, when AI is going to change long-standing processes, and there might be doubt, there might be fear. So how do I really leverage and take advantage as a leader? Is it going to shape my executive decision making? And then how do we build this culture when people may not be open to that visioneering right now?
Yeah. Maybe, I think I want to start first with, I think everything starts, especially with leaders, right? Or leadership. And I think it's all related to culture. And I tell this really quick story. Like when I was at Oceanet, we have a Oahu office and we had a Maui office. And so much of what I feel like we were always doing as leaders was trying to, to me, culture is something that's not on a wall. It's not the thing you put on the wall. It says these are our how we behave, how we do stuff. It's actually communicated intangibly many times in a one-to-one. Culture is something that gets transmitted, I think, not from the stuff that's on the walls or the messages or the videos. It's the way we all treat each other and how we interact with each other. It's like a virus. And that's how I think culture gets transmitted. and one day I was just, at our office on Oahu, and I know that culture. And it's like this thing you cannot even almost describe. But I would say, like, we're playing, I want to say, like, if I'm going to use a sports analogy, we're playing football in this office. Okay. On Maui, when I go there, I'm hanging out there and talking to them, and I go, oh, they definitely have a culture here. And they're using a ball, but I think they're playing baseball. Right? It's very, very subtle. Right? So you can't just put stuff up on the walls and communicate culture. Culture is, again, transmitted from you as the leader to everybody else. And everything you do and how you behave, how you interact, what you get mad about, what you get happy about. It's all of these little things, right? And I think the reason why I bring that up is I think culture leads the whole AI revolution thing that's happening. So you have to model, I think, as leaders, if we're not the ones getting educated about AI and figuring out how this stuff works, what are the and how we can use it in our business, I think we're not transmitting the right kind of things to, I think, the rest of the organization. Because that there was a recent MIT study that came out that said only like 5% of companies are getting any kind of value from it, and it's because it was top down. Leadership said, hey, what are we doing about AI? And so everybody ran off to try and start AI projects without understanding, even personally, how do I use AI in my personal work? And I think that's the first step, is as a leader, how are you learning about AI by using it in your own work? Right? And then asking everybody else, hey, we're making these tools available. I want you guys to figure out, like, are you using it to summarize documents, helping you to like do analysis? But everybody learns from the leader, because the leader's modeling, like, and they're saying, hey, I've been using AI to do this spreadsheet analysis or something, or make myself a dashboard, or build stuff like that, right? And then that gets communicated to the other people in the organization, and you go, okay, what are you guys doing with, how are you guys using AI in your in the work that you're doing? Because until you do that, there's no talking about, I think, about AI at an enterprise level. Right? It's like we all have to get educated, I think, with AI from a grassroots level. It's like, here's the 10 things I figured out that I just use AI all the time for in my work. Okay, great, Tracie. Okay, so your whole group in the HR group, okay, what are you guys doing? Okay, and can you guys start thinking about, like, how do you use this to help your processes now? Not just your own personal work, right? But the processes of HR from the customer standpoint. from your internal customers, external customers, like how can we start using AI? Because until people are comfortable on it, educated about it, I don't think they're going to get very far. And you're not going to just drop, okay, you know, we found this HR system that uses AI. Here, Tracie, implement it, right? That's going to be, you know, that's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
And an expensive disaster.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's
So,
a virus, like you said, and we have to start infecting each other with how we personally use it and then look out.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Love that.
I don't know. So, you know, I think you need to, as leaders, you need to, you know, you need to lead from this authentic standpoint. If you're asking, if you're trying to grow a learning organization, the question is the leadership a person of who's learning as well, right? It's not just, you guys all do it, but I don't do it. Like, that's like the total, like this is not going to end well.
Disengagement and burning up the culture. You're no longer playing football or baseball.
Yeah. So you're playing a whole different game, right? So, but I think this is, yeah, but it's the most, I have to tell you that AI is underestimated. Still, I think it is. We still really don't understand yet what the true potential of this stuff is, but also the true dangers of it as well. The world's best researchers in the area still don't understand how these things work. All they know is if we give it better data, more data, we give it more computing power, training, and these systems get better and better and better. And anything that doesn't work today will eventually get resolved in the next few years. Whatever problems there are, energy, you name it, that's the opportunity for an entrepreneur to come in to solve those problems. So every problem, because again, remember, I lived through the PC revolution, the local area network revolution, the internet revolution, the .com, social media, mobile phone revolution. There were problems with all of those innovations, but they all eventually got resolved because that's what entrepreneurship does. True entrepreneurs want problems to solve, and the harder the problem, the better. So everything that's a problem with AI today will be resolved because entrepreneurs will step in, and maybe it'll be some of you in Hawaii. And I think because of AI, there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. Never been. And I think that Hawaii could have like very, very successful entrepreneurs. You know, I was just being reminded, I was thinking about this one day. I go, does anybody remember Instagram, right? Instagram got bought, right? I think it was by Meta, by Facebook. And they got bought for $1 billion. And this was unheard of. This was like over 10 years ago. I forget. Like they got bought for $1 billion. And you know how many people was in the company at the time?
How many?
5. So 5 people in the company, and it was $1 billion company. The prediction, and this is Sam Altman from OpenAI, the guys at ChatGPT, he's predicting there will be a one-person, $1 billion company.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it could be somebody from Hawaii.
Oh,
like there's no reason why it couldn't be somebody from Hawaii, and I think there should be. I think we need to have like this entrepreneurial. It's never been a better time, I think, to be a solo entrepreneur today. And so it's a great, awesome time. I wish it was, a little bit younger, but hey, I'm still young enough. And
you're in your second childhood.
Yeah. I still got another, hopefully another good 20 plus years to do some crazy stuff. But yeah, exciting time. Exciting.
It's so exciting. So I'm thinking about our cohort and myself. I have had a funky, amazing career like yours, where you don't think there's a set progression, but I also agree the more experience that you get, right, the more you can leverage it in your thinking and your decision making.
Yeah.
For those that don't come from a technical background, what's the best way for them to stay informed to lead AI capable teams confidently?
Oh, in fact, what's interesting is, so just like you look at me, right? I'm not actually I don't have a technical background, but I've learned the technical stuff over the years. And I want to say the folks who are not technical, you're actually one of the most important folks in the organization, because you will serve as the translators between the technical guys who are leading the AI stuff, right, in the organization, the IT teams, or whatever, and the rest of the organization, right? They're you can call them, like I was called the tech Sherpa. This is what my boss nicknamed me. Is you need these people who are like the translators, the buffers between the end users and the technical folks, because sometimes they really speak different languages, right? And so this is a very, 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 one of the most important roles in organization are those folks who will act as those bridges and translators. So um, so I think there's a very important role for these folks to play, to partner with the technical teams that are going to help roll out AI in the organization. I think everybody in the organization at some level should have like access, right? It's like everybody should get access and get educated and training and have groups to actually, do this stuff. It's there's so many applications of AI. I think part of it is the way you scale education in the age of AI is you share what you learn. So Tracie learned something new and we come together once a week. Maybe it's an online gathering and there's like 50 people in the organization. And for 1 hour or half an hour, it's like everybody's sharing what they've learned, right? And that's how you scale education around AI, because there's too many applications in AI now. No single person can keep up with it. So
You're so right. I have a colleague I used to work with a couple of organizations ago, and I asked him, what tool do you use that might help me in doing this thing? And he introduced me to Beautiful AI, which saved me hours and hours so that I could
I
focus
use
on
it
things
too.
that matter most.
Yeah, it's my too. I've been using it for like
Wow.
7, 8 years now when it first came out.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love it.
there's so much to to learn. So the only way I think you can scale learning today is by sharing what you've learned, right? There's no single person that can know everything about AI, especially AI, right? But
Yeah.
so it's not hard. I think it's an exciting time for but this is this new it's probably the single most important thing humanity is is going to experience, and it's everything is going to happen quicker than we expect. Everything that's happening now wasn't predicted for another 10 years. So so I want to tell you, right, every week something new comes out with AI. And it is unfortunately like an arms race. Everyone's trying to build bigger systems. And yeah, it's it's an exciting but also scary time. But again, I think it's learn as quickly as you can, figure out how these things work, apply it to your work as in the most simple ways, right? Just summarizing, like I was just sharing about that Alice report, right? I just ran it through, ChatGPT, just had it kind of summarize the document a little bit for me. And I actually asked it, ChatGPT has memory. So this is a really powerful feature. So I upload things so that it becomes part of memory, so that when I start using it, right, it can pull from these documents and past conversations. So the tool itself exponentially becomes more valuable the more you use it. So this is also an advantage, right? Is everything I know, I basically share with ChatGPT and memory. So now I don't have to keep it in my memory or look for some document. It's actually accessible by these systems. So that's powerful, and that's also scary as well. So
It
yeah,
is.
yeah.
It is. I love it. I love
I
it. So
know.
many mic drops. So many mic drops
I
today.
know.
I have one last thing, and I know you're being so generous with your
No, no.
time. When we talked about what do leaders really need to leverage, right, to take advantage of this tool, you talked about, being open to being visionary, really partnering the automation with your own human experience and understanding. As people, as human beings, as leaders in Hawaii, is there another skill, another capability you'd recommend developing now to help us on this accelerated AI adventure,
Yeah,
journey, roller coaster?
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is the we were talking about PICHTR, right? And part of it is one of the reasons why I joined PICHTR was because we were a small nonprofit. We don't have any of our own technical capability. Like at OceanNet, 150 engineers and scientists, right? At PICHTR, we don't have that. And that was actually, to me, really exciting because it was like, oh, in order for me to do anything, I have to find partners. Like I can't go on my own. I need to find partners. And that was super exciting for me because all of a sudden it's like, okay, if we want to go in this direction, okay, who is going in that direction that I can partner with? And I want to say the same thing when it comes to AI. You will not have everything you need. You will have very, very little about what you need. And this is why I think harnessing your internal organization, right? When people learn these tools and they will do things that you don't expect them to do because you don't know what challenges they're facing. But as they use these tools and they learn these things, guess what? They become experts in your organization about that. And then your ability now to then harness that internal capability and you're building capacity in your own organizations, right? That you become this empowered organization that can leverage AI because your people are driving that initiative, not you, just yourself, right? I only can learn so much and share so much, but when I can harness my entire organization to be AI conversive and proficient, right? I think from a collective standpoint, you create an organization that is truly, I think one of the most important qualities is an organization that can adapt quickly. No organization today can adapt quick enough because of AI. Not even the big guys. They can't adapt quickly enough. So imagine on the age of AI, right? So by empowering people with that, their ability to adapt and move quickly, AI allows some things that would have taken months. Literally, I was on a project. I was thinking this is going to take me 6 months, lots of money, whatever. I basically did the same job myself now. This was going to hire out a company to do it. I was thinking it's going to take 6 months. I did it myself after work in the evening, maybe 2-3 hours a night. In 6 weeks, I built out the entire system. And I thought about it, because how was I able to do this? It's because I have the expertise and knowledge. I know what I want. I just never could build it myself. But now, again, like the story, I am the builder too. It's like being an architect who's also the builder now. So when something doesn't look right from an architectural standpoint, right, you would have to go to the contract, go, hey, you guys got to change this, right? But then that's like a week later, 2 weeks later. But now I'm the builder. I'm fixing the thing as I'm designing it, going, no, that shouldn't be that way. I'm gonna change it.
That's powerful.
Right. So I think, again, this idea of collectively, like how do you get everybody the tools and training they need, and then they will figure out if they truly have challenges, they will figure out, I think, how to apply these tools. And as they become more comfortable, more educated, you will then create, I think, an organization that is so powerful, so adaptive, so quick moving that no competitor can keep up with you. But that will take time and leadership. But I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my organization, right? So you can't ask people to do stuff you know to do.
Right.
That's the first rule.
It's like we were talking about with culture. It starts with
Yeah.
you, like you were saying, talking about what it is that you use the tools for to leverage it, and then ripple it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you. Hope that's
thank
a
you.
lot.
I cannot mahalo you enough. Not only are you one of my favorite people and we matched today, but thank you for all that you do for Hawaii and continuing to inspire us to be better leaders.
No, thank you.
Right on. Thank you, Ian.
Hold on. I'm holding.